If you follow my community page on my YouTube channel here, I've been posting a ton of deals on GPUs. Prices have been getting better. Now, they're still not MSRP, but that's one of the topics in this video. I get all these comments both on my GPU price related videos as well as these community posts on people in the comments arguing over, is now the time to buy, or do we keep holding? Do we keep waiting? Is the price going to go down? Well, I've got a lot of thoughts about this. For example, a little while ago, we had a $500 RTX 3060 available, which actually sitting in stock for several hours, which is way better than it used to be. Pricing like that used to be an instant bots buy it out, sellout type of deal. We've seen it's part of a bundle kit, but the EVGA configurator, you could get an RTX 3060, bundled with a power supply and then maybe like a CPU cooler or a mouse, which might actually make sense if you're doing a full new build. Actually coming in at $430 on that GPU, although some of those other components may or may not be such a good value. We've seen the 3070 Ti. A week ago, I posted this one at $870 sitting in stock at Amazon, but actually, as of this morning, if I scroll up, I just noticed that same model down another, $20? We're down to $850 now for that same model, again, sitting in stock for at least several hours on Amazon. So things like this, just week to week on the same model on Amazon trending down, does seem to suggest that we have not hit the bottom. Now, by the way, I'm also not necessarily saying go rush out and buy this 3070 Ti. It's the greatest value in the world. But about a month ago, and then for many months, previously to that, these were holding in the $1,100 to $1,200 price bracket if you're looking for ones that are actually sitting in stock for the length of time that a human could buy them. So we've seen such a huge dip in prices that it can be very tempting now to buy. So here's the thing. Predicting the future is impossible. So if you're looking for me to tell you that GPU prices absolutely will continue to keep going down, I'm not going to do that. But I will say, if you want me to predict whether we're likely to see the downward trend continue for at least a while longer, I would actually say yes. I do think prices are going to continue to fall. And I think this example I'm giving right here of this 3070 Ti, week to week, I think it's actually been about 6 days, at the same retailer, Amazon, where a lot of bots are programmed to buy if you're a scalper trying to make money off these things. It came down in pricing a little bit, and it's sitting in stock at a much lower price than it used to be. Now, other things play into this. For example, Ethereum pricing. So, and it's not just the pricing itself, though, because there's other factors that go into whether buying a new GPU for mining is profitable. And what we can see here, if I'm looking at the last year, is that Ethereum is certainly not the lowest value it's been in the last year, but it has been on a steady downward trend. I mean, notice we did get this dip and it came back up, but don't panic. If you actually plot this as like, I don't know if I can green screen my... green screens are confusing. It's like mirrored. Whatever, I give up. But do you guys see that if you just plot this as a trend line, that's actually a steady downward trend? And I would expect this little bump this morning to actually come down again if we just follow that trend line. Now, there's nothing to say that it wouldn't trend down like it did here and then spike back up. And that's what I'm saying about we can't really predict the future. But Ethereum value is not the only thing factoring into GPU pricing. And like I said, its value isn't even the only thing to do with whether Ethereum mining is profitable for buying a new GPU. One thing is energy prices, and the world's energy costs right now are a little bit weird, and we've got wars happening and stuff, and we can't really predict exactly what's going to go on with that. We also have the proof of stake probably happening. And what that basically means is, from this GPU perspective, is right now, GPUs are Ethereum printing presses that print money at the cost of electricity. But theoretically, it will switch to proof of stake this summer. in which case GPUs will no longer print money as Ethereum, but they could still be used to mine other cryptocurrencies. And that's where this is again a bit of a question mark. Number one, will it really happen this summer? Because this has been delayed in the past. And number two, just because Ethereum is currently the most profitable GPU mining, as far as I know, I'm not that into crypto. As far as Ethereum being the most mined, GPU currency, that doesn't mean that another currency couldn't then pump in price and popularity and GPU mining just shift over to those. Now, what we'd really like to see, like the perfect storm that could see GPU prices absolutely crash, not just back to MSRP, but below it, would be if not only proof of stake actually happens, but also Intel enters the market with a lot of supply around the same time period in that kind of mid-range to low-end segment, pricing segment. So big new competition from Intel, Ethereum suddenly not profitable to mine on GPUs, and then those crypto miners have the choice of, do I switch to another currency or do I just sell off my old GPUs to recoup some of their value? And what I think we'll see is both. I think we'll see some crypto miners continue to mine and just switch which type of crypto, but we'll see other ones sell off. Because this is a little bit complicated, but even if another crypto is currently profitable, the difficulty of mining increases the more GPUs are mining it. So if all of the GPU processing power that's currently mining Ethereum suddenly switched over to a different crypto, the mining difficulty for that coin would dramatically increase, and that could then decrease its profitability. But the wild card in there would be the actual value of that crypto, because if suddenly there's tons of people with a vested interest in making that crypto worthwhile, we could see people trying to pump its popularity. And remember, the value of this stuff is whatever the market says it is. In some sense, it's just made up. And it's made up by people's perception. So if GPU miners found a way to pump this, right? Whenever Elon Musk tweets about some kind of crypto, that can have a massive impact on its profitability, right? And its pricing. That's what I'm getting at. It's really hard to predict this, but we could this summer see GPU pricing absolutely crash if we see that perfect storm of lots of supply coming in from Intel in the low to mid, and Ethereum, maybe crypto miners sell off their GPUs, all of that. But even if that's the case, you do need to ask yourself something. There is value in having a GPU now rather than later. So you don't want to wait forever, because here's the thing. Even though we're in a very extreme example of this market situation right now, this is the idea that you can always wait and eventually get more processing power for the same amount of money in the computer space has always been a thing. So that's nothing new. So there's always been the question of, should I wait for the next best thing or for the prices on these components to come down? So that's going to be a different answer for different people. I think for some people, the prices have already come down enough that I want a new GPU. I can afford it. I'm just going to buy it now. And if they come down another $100 or $200, 3 or 4 months from now, that $100 or $200 was worth it because I got several more months of using my GPU. Now, the other thing looming is the launch of the next series of graphics cards in probably, Q4, the end of Q3, towards the end of this year, right? And what will that bring? Well, it depends on what I think GPU bracket you're looking to purchase in, because the initial launch is probably going to be high-end. That's what they usually lead with. A lot of times you'll see we'll probably see the 4080 and the 7800 XT, and then maybe the 70 class below that, and then maybe pop in with their Halo product of the 4090 or Titan or whatever they're going to call it this time. And then you can see some of the mid-range stuff trickle in lower. But what I would expect to see is once again to have when those new products launch, I think we'll see scalpers buying them up with bots because they know that this is a new sought after item by PC enthusiasts that they can then scalp and rip people off on them. So I expect the GPU market to actually get worse again when those new products launch, not better. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I expect to see. And that's what we saw with the 3000 series. A lot of people were holding off on buying a 2000 series GPU because the 3000 series was going to offer way more bang for the buck. And then that's not what happened because of scalpers and then miners and then, global pandemic and all sorts of stuff, right? So, crypto, everything. So I guess all I'm trying to say here is, I think if you want to buy a GPU right now and you can afford it and you're okay with the fact that the value on that GPU might decrease somewhat significantly in the next several months, but what you're buying with that price decrease is the enjoyment of having that GPU now, then fine. If you're somebody who already has something that you're pretty happy with, you might as well maybe wait another year. Like wait for the next series of GPUs, wait for the mid-range to come on. So I think this really depends on, do you have something you're already happy with? Because I don't think there's any reason to rush. We could definitely see prices coming down. You could wait for the new GPUs. But if you desperately want something, the prices are a lot better than they used to be. Now, if I was buying a GPU right now, so maybe I'll end the video with that. If you want some buying advice. So like I said, I've been posting deals on my community page here, and I plan to continue to do that if you want to monitor that. So what I think is, first of all, the best deal I've seen recently is a 6700 XT for $550. Now, you can get them for $600. That's the actual price, and you can find that at various retailers, but the most consistent place to find that has been Newegg. And Newegg, and I did check this out, I found this on the Build a PC Sales subreddit, up through the end of March, does have a code that you can add to your cart that takes 10% off up to a maximum of $50. And this, by the way, seems to be able to be applied to just about anything on their site. I'm not sure if it's everything, but it seems like that. Not just GPUs. So, and again, that has to be on their mobile app. So I think they're basically like, giving you a better deal to get you to download their app so they can give you push notification advertisements, right? It's part of their advertising budget. That's what they're doing here. Anyway, but that does mean that if you can find one of the $600 6700 XTs, that means you could actually get it for $550, which is actually not that far above MSRP. And the other GPUs selling in this price range, like from NVIDIA, are more like the RTX 3060, although sometimes you can find that cheaper. Now, if we go over to like Tech Power Up, for example, if you were considering a 3060 versus what if I bought the 6700 XT that I'm recommending here. On average, you're going to be getting, 25 to 30% better performance out of your 6700 XT at rasterized performance. Its ray tracing performance, I think, is actually worse than the 3060. But personally, I wouldn't use ray tracing on either card, but that's a personal preference. Yours might be different. And if you're worried about DLSS, well, DLSS quality might gain you 25 or 30% performance. In some games more, in some games less. But that's just to catch up to the 6700 XT. So to be honest, my personal recommendation, if I was building a high-end 1080p build or a solid 1440p build, would be the 6700 XT if you can find it around that $550 pricing. That would be my recommendation right now. Occasionally, the 3060 Ti has been popping up near that same price. I think if I scroll down through my community page, I think we will see that I spotted a 3060 Ti somewhere. The 6700 XT has been easier to find. Here we go. So I have seen $600 3060 Ti's sit in stock for a little bit, but those ones do seem to sell out quicker. Honestly, I think people are more into NVIDIA on average, so those are going to sell out quicker. And if you're comparing the 3060 Ti to the 6700 XT, they're actually pretty close. Now, I believe that this chart is comparing their 4K performance, which they do for 2080 Ti and faster GPUs. So and now I know they got the 2080 Ti here, but I think this is comparing their 4K performance, so I wouldn't read too much into this. I think the 6700 XT actually does a bit better than this compared to the 3060 Ti. But then the 3060 Ti does have that better ray tracing performance and DLSS. So I think these two are closer competitors. Now the 3070s I have not been finding in stock for a reasonable price, but if you want to go NVIDIA and you can't find that 3060 Ti, the 3070 Ti that I've been talking about here isn't what I would buy, but the one thing I will say about it is the next step up to a 3080 is a lot more money. The best deals I've found on a 3080 are still over $1,000. So still, I think the best one I found was still $250 more than this price. So you'd have to ask, that is a big jump. You'd have to ask yourself if that's worthwhile. And like I said, the step down to a $550 6700 XT, or if you can find it, a $600 3060 Ti, to me, that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. So I think that makes sense. Now, at the lower end, I think an RX 6600, which we've been able to find around $430 lately, does make a lot of sense, and I would probably buy that over a similarly priced RTX 3050. If you can start to find the 3050 for about $100 less, then that starts to make sense. And at an absolute budget, I mean, that's the problem right now. I don't think there's a lot of new deals at a super budget. Anyway, I've got to get to work, so I'm gonna let you guys go and hope you all have an excellent day.